It's important to see what's important to our consumer. And with so much of our beans exported every year, it's important to maintain those relationships.
Welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey, and we're coming to you from a soybean field and a farm near Scarville. I'm visiting with Mike Yegge. Mike serves as District 2 Director for the Iowa Soybean Association from Lake Mills. And Mike, we just returned from a trade mission. It was led by the U.S. Soybean Export Council. We made stops in Tokyo as well as Seoul, time in Japan and Korea. First of all, why is it important that farmers make the time, take the time to participate in trade missions and discussions on behalf of Iowa and U.S. soy?
Well, I think the best response is that, it's important to see what's important to our consumer. We as farmers, we kind of talk a lot amongst ourselves, about production and what's important to us, but I think it's important to see that other angle. And with so much of our beans exported every year, I think seeing what happens in these other countries and what their priorities are is important, because we're only familiar with what we see, and it's important to maintain those relationships.
While we were in those two cities in those countries, we met with soybean buyers, we met with processors, millers, we met with the users, the products that they make using U.S. soy. And they're mature markets, but both countries hold a lot of influence geopolitically as well as from an agricultural trade standpoint. What was a topic or two that came out of the conversations that has stuck with you since your return back to Lake Mills and the farm?
Well, like you said, they're mature markets, but they're still important to us and important to their countries. One thing that I picked up in Korea was that 20% of their GDP is associated with the United States. We are a huge influence on them.
One topic that I know you really picked up on during our time there was a lot of conversation around the footprint of soy, the quality of soy, and also the work of U.S. farmers around conservation and innovation and constantly doing better for the land, for water. That matters to the buyers and ultimately to the customers of U.S. soy in those countries. Explain.
Sustainability was one of the topics that I believe every tour that we had, every person that we met with mentioned to some capacity. The feed mills with their livestock and everything, it might not be as influential, but there were certain people that we met with that 100% of their product comes from the U.S. because of the sustainability factor.
You're one of 22 farmer directors, so you're farming full-time and you're also engaging on these issues. Is there something that you're going to kind of be thinking about, saying to yourself, this is perhaps something that I want to bring to the attention of more farmers, or maybe something that I can really look to work through on my operation?
I think it's getting the word out, getting our product to stand out above others. We've been losing a lot of market share in the recent years, and I feel like we have a superior product that farmers need to, one, know that their product is superior, and to share that information with the people that they interact with, the consumers, any international visits they might make, because it is important to that international market.
And lastly, and I can't leave your farm without, because every farmer watching wants to know, so how are the crops looking in your area? You've probably started a little bit of harvest. Give us an update, yields, crop progress in far north central Iowa.
I think the yields are going to be strong this year. We're going to have less zero areas than we had last year. Rain has been a huge factor this year as far as timeliness, getting our split application of nitrogen applied on the corn. But I think also it might be dying here a little bit early. So as long as the remaining part of the season is an average season, I think we should have an above average yield. But I hate to say it's going to be a record yield.
Well, Mike, thank you for your time, and thank you for representing the Iowa Soybean Association as you did in Korea and in Japan. And as we were told, there's no better salesperson for the U.S. soybean and for the Iowa soybean industry than a farmer. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Aaron Putsey.
Do you remember when you first believed that anything was possible? Do you remember when you had doubt? Obstacles you couldn't overcome? Do you remember when you pushed through the pain and refused to quit? Remember, He created you for this.